Hello everyone, welcome back to another night talk. Now, while I'm waiting for my guest, I just want to play a couple of videos. I want to give credit to David Berrell for sending me this. If I can bring it up, where are you? And I think it's an awesome video to watch. So, enjoy. It's a short video, but I think this is a lot for the fan base and a lot for what we stand for and how we feel about that club. I honestly think that video embodied everything. You look at the players who we've had the honour of having on the hallowed pitch. We've also had the managers, Bobby Robson, Kevin Keegan, Rafa Benitez. We've had some greats on the field and in the dugout and managing. And you look at Sir John Hall, who has been probably the linchpin of all that. He's the one that started that era rolling, really. But yeah, we can all dream again, hopefully, when this takeover goes through. I'm still 100% positive that this will happen. The Premier League don't have a leg to stand on. So, yeah, just as I said, I mean, I'll play this video with Richard Masters. If that's the best they can give, then we've got this in the bag. Here we go.
The Premier League remains in dispute with Newcastle, who have since secured their survival to the Premier League next season. Your reaction to them staying up, and is there anything more you can tell us about how those talks, those legal disputes are going?
Well, they're in the Premier League and they'll be pleased about that, but there's nothing I can say about the takeover or any talks.
So there you go. Richard Masters been very... You can see it in his body language. He was very nervous about all this. And if you're going to put your CEO of the Premier League in front of a camera, they've got to be able to carry themselves better than that. Honestly, that's poor. That is poor. But anyway, what I'm going to do is play my intro because my guests shouldn't be far away. But here we go. So yes, welcome back to Number 9 Talk. Yet again, I have been away. I have had to deal with a few things behind the scenes, which has been difficult. But yeah, we're back now. Just want to say I will be in the northeast from the 29th. So if anyone wants to meet up for a beer, a drink, chat, I'm always around. So. I just want to give a shout out to my last sponsors. I know they've been not happy with me recently, but oh well. Unfortunately, guys, things are where they are. So I want to give a shout out to NUFC Hotspot, makers of pin badges and memorabilia for Newcastle United. I've had a lot of chat with these. They're bringing out some exciting stuff. We've recently seen the Callum Wilson pin badge come out from NUFC Hotspot. Awesome. So if anyone's interested, please hit them up. Please give a like to their posts. Please spread it far and wide. They're a small business. We should be supporting these businesses, and also footytowels.co.uk, makers of this beauty. I still like this. I want one of these. So Footy Towels, if you're watching, send me one down. I'll be very grateful. And it also comes in a microfiber beach towel cover. So that's brilliant, and I love these guys as well. Who else we got? Which I haven't said for a while, boy. Bubble hats. Now, I've not heard much from them, which I can say I'm disappointed in, but they are great people and makers of good products, socks and hats. So, guys, hit me up. Let's get this move forward, and we'll keep it all moving. So, let's talk about mental health now. Yeah, I said I've been struggling recently, possibly with mine. That's why I've been away for a while. I have 4 kids who struggle also with mental health problems, and at the moment with COVID and with I find this very difficult with COVID and everything else that's going on in the world, and also social media has a lot to play with people's mental health. Why have we got to come on to social media and belittle people, make people feel like the worst ever? I'm not into that. I'll go onto social media and spread positivity. I go out there and I say, let's do this. Let's go out there and enjoy life. Let's go out there and make the best of everything. But then you have people. Sorry, hold on. I've got some comments. Right. Okay. So, not original. Hi. How are you, Frosty Queen? Yes, Iceman. Not original again. Iceman, how are you? But yeah, just to carry on from what I was saying, it's not good enough. It's not good enough from people in the communities. I mean, I mostly get, obviously, because I'm a Newcastle fan, I get most of my tweets from the northeast, and I'm also on TikTok. I'm on many different platforms. But what I don't want to see is people coming out and belittling people. Why would these people that come on to your feed and say you're ugly, you're a waste of breath, you're a waste of space, you should kill yourself? No, well, this is not good enough from a human race. Let's change this. We need to change this. Yeah, great guy. Say hello, Moose, to my friend. Who's that? Hello, Moose. But anyway, I'm divulging from what I was saying. Can we please spread that positivity? Why have we got to argue? Even as a fan base, why have we got to argue? We can all have a different opinion, yeah? But that doesn't mean we have to attack each other having a difference of an opinion. I got a different opinion. I put out a tweet the other day, and that says, let's have Sunderland and Middlesbrough in the Premier League. and I was ridiculed for it. And I was probably ridiculed for it. Do I care? No, because what my problem is, it wasn't a football related thing. It wasn't to do with football. It was to do with a struggling and on its knees area, and it's the northeast. We get the least amount of support from the government. It's just laughable. And I had a message saying, "Well, you walk around Sunderland, it's a shithole." Of course, it's a shithole. What else would it be without investment into that area? You can walk around parts of Newcastle, it looks a shithole, just because we don't get that investment into the area. Now, if we have this takeover, that can very easily change and very vastly change, but that's just in the Newcastle area. What about the northeast as a region? Let's change this. I mean, I live in Derby at the moment, and I went round the town centre because I hardly ever get out. Unfortunately, I don't. I hardly leave the house, and I walked around the Derby city centre, and it was desperate. It really was desperate. And there's areas in Derby city centre that used to be a lifeblood of the UK. That used to have, I don't know whether anyone can remember the pink coconut that was in Derby. People used to come far and wide just to go to the pink coconut, and people enjoyed going to that. I mean, we used to have the likes of Mel B and Mel C and Mark Morrison, and a lot of celebrities used to go there. But that was the place to be. But you go down there now, and it's dead. There's nothing there, and there's a lot of businesses or small businesses that are dying because it's all about Sainsbury's, it's all about Morrison's, it's all about the online companies. We need to be showing more love to the small businesses, the breakout businesses, the ones that actually spend personally 20 hours, 20, 30 hours, 40 hours, 50 hours, 100 hours a week just to make it a success because they put their money into it. But anyway, rant over. I've had my rant. Let's talk about Mr. Bruce. Does he deserve his praise? Does he deserve his accolades? But it all comes from the usual suspects, the journalists that we all know. You can list them off very quickly and very easily. Just let me get rid of that comment. Who else we got here? I'm getting. Yeah. Spread the love. Yes. Very inspirational. Well, I try to be. Okay. So, hell to the no. From Frosty Queen. But yeah. Really? Steve Bruce, does he deserve his accolades? Does he deserve? Yeah. Possibly he does. You can understand what he said on one part. We lost a lot of our play. We lost a lot of with injuries because we lost St. Max. We lost Wilson for a bit. We lost Miggy. We lost Richie out of the squad due to spats within the club. We've had Lascelles out, who's the captain. A lot of people are not big on Lascelles. But, yeah, he's still our captain. And could Richie do better? Yeah, possibly. He is our unsung captain. Could you say that? He is our unsung captain. But at the moment, with Ashley being, tight as a nun's fanning, it's You can't do anything about it. And you look at the managers who have been in during Ashley's tenure. They haven't had that much investment, have they? I mean, even if you say Bruce has had, what is it, 85, 90 million pound invested into the squad, but then what have we lost during that as well? I mean, what has been our net spend? What has been our eventual overlay? And I don't think it's a lot. I think it's about, what, 7 million? Penny pinching by Ashley. It just does. He's not really had that money. He's just had a little bit of that money. But with net sales and net spend, if you weigh it up, he's had next to fuck all. And that's the way it always will be. So, does he deserve? What I'll say when, excuse me, my head's still fried and I'm struggling to put across everything. But if you bear with me, I do apologise. Bruce deserves a little bit of accolade. He deserves a little bit of love, maybe. But is he the answer for Newcastle? No, he hasn't. He never has been. But he's kept us in the Premier League twice now, and not one of us could actually say and put our hands on our heart we knew that was going to happen. Not one of us. Now, I can also say with what's his name, the assistant that come in, he's done his part. Is he a manager? A lot of people have said that, get rid of Bruce, bring in the other fella. I don't know. He can't do any worse, can he? Or he can't do any better as well, because he'll even if we are with Ashley next season, he'll still have his hands tied behind his back, and that's the end of it. You're just not going to get any investment, and that's not just in the squad. That's not just in the stadium as well. Training ground, training centre. What money's gone into that? Nothing at all. Where are we? I've lost where I was again. I do apologise, guys. Like I said, first day back. I'm just not at the races today. But anyway, where are we? Yeah, I'm not the dynamic person that everyone wants, but unfortunately, Callum Wilson. Let's go into Callum Wilson. Let's go through the squad. Callum Wilson, when he came in, £20 million, an absolute steal, an absolute bargain. If he'd stayed fit for the whole season, what goals could he be on now? Could he be on to 20 goals, maybe? 15, 16. He could have had 15, 16 goals this season, and he's been a breath of fresh air. And we've also been talking about the fact we've had Willock in since January. Has he changed the dynamic, or did he change the dynamic of the team? Yes, he did, because he was someone that wasn't scared to get himself in there. I mean, I look at the likes of Rob Lee. I look at the likes of Lee Clark. There's many midfielders you could say that arrive late in the box to pick up them goals. And I can see Willock being just that. And I've spoken to Rob Lee, and I says, can you go down there and sort out our midfielders? Because not one of them, they're all petrified to get themselves in there. They're petrified to arrive late in the box to pick up a loose ball. to stick in the back of the net. And we've just not had that. Shelvey's not like that. He's someone who plods around. Okay, he has worked, I think, the last 2 matches and put himself about there, but 2 matches is not a season make. And it disappoints me that he's that way. He's not quick. He's not, this dynamic midfielder. But what he can do is unlock a defence. What he can do is make the best of something. But we've not seen that since Benitez left, maybe. Because even Benitez had his second thoughts about him, didn't he? Because he was left out of the squad. Big Joe, as he put in a shift in the last 6 months, I think he has. He's been someone who's just been there and put in a bit of hard work. You can't say that he's not worked hard for the team, but a striker he is not, and he never will be. But he's starting to look a bit more dynamic, a bit more putting himself around there. And not a lot of people would agree. You can disagree with me all you like. Don't care. But there you go. But I think Joe over the past 4 months, I think, is putting a shift. And he's been left out a couple of games, which I think has also benefited Joe, because when he's been out, he's come back into the squad and looked better. It's taken that pressure off him. I mean, how old is he? 20, 24? He's still kind of young. Maybe he should be doing a bit more, but beggars can't be choosers. And if you really want to make a player out of him, he needs that standoff. He needs to be able to sit down and take the price tag off his neck, to take the number off his back as well. He needs that rest, and not rest, but he needs that respite away from the limelight. And I think every time he's gone out the team for a couple of games, he's come back in and he's done well.
Wow.
Ashley, it's a terrible photograph, I know, but that was our owner, but hopefully not for much longer. There's nothing I'm going to say about him, because really, we all want him gone. But anyway, I'm going to come on to Martin Dubravka. After that, I know it's a bit erratic, I do apologise. But Martin Dubravka is our number one, but I can also say that Darlow at the start of the season, I think it was immense. I think he did really well. Okay, by the end, Darlow looked tired. Darlow looked jaded. So it was the best time to bring Martin back once he was fit. But we can't take anything away from Martin at all, from Darlow at all, because we worried. We fretted because he was going to be our number one keeper for at least, was it 8 weeks, 9 weeks? And he did well. And when did Martin finally come in? Just after Christmas. So he had a good stint, and that's what you need. You need 2 excellent goalkeepers, which we have in Dubravka, who is excellent, and we've got Darlow, who is always chomping at the bit to be number one as well. And it's great to have that rivalry within a squad. I mean, you look at our midfield: Shelvey, Longstaff, Hayden once he comes back from injury. You got Maxi in there, but is he a midfielder? Possibly not. But at the same time, There isn't enough in that midfield at all. There's no dynamics. There's nothing to make the squad. But midfield would be what needs to be upgraded next year or next season. I think we should be looking at midfielders, which is strange for us to say because we were buying midfielders at one point, left, right, and centre. And we were all screaming, going, "Why are we buying this midfielder? Why are we buying that midfielder? Why are we buying this midfielder?" You know, the strikers, we need someone who's going to score 15 goals a season, man. Why are we buying another midfielder? But it obviously shows why, because we just don't have a midfield. You know, you can go to Richie. Richie's a great player. He's our quiet captain, if you want to call him that. But is his legs still there? Could he have gone to Bournemouth if Bournemouth had come back up? I think he might have.
Yes.
Oh, hello, Pete. He's here. You saved me from rambling, I'm telling you.
No, I apologise. Little one just woke up, so I was trying to set him back off to sleep. How are you?
But yeah, I'm all right, mate. I've had a few problems recently, and I've only just been able to get back. My head is fried. I've honestly not been able to keep up with everything football and Newcastle related, so I've just kind of been piecing things together. If that works.
Yeah. It's always difficult because at Newcastle, it's always changing all the time. So
yeah, it is. What I wanted to say was, Mr. Bruce, what's your thoughts? Does he deserve any accolade or any praise for what he's done? Me personally, I think he does deserve some sort of something, because he has done that. And none of us thought when he first came into the club, we were all looking doom and gloom. We were thinking, right, we're going to be relegated either this season or next season. But he's kept us in there. But then, okay, you can say he had help with Jones as well. What would be your thoughts?
It's a difficult one, because you can argue that Steve Bruce has managed to turn it around. And he, you know what, he has turned it around, and he's had a very, very good end to the season. I mean, you look at some of the teams that we've played in the latter end of those fixtures, and we've only lost a couple of games. You know, the Arsenal and the Man City game really are the ones that stand out since Brighton. But we've played Tottenham, we've played West Ham, who are high flying, we've played Liverpool, we've played Man City, we've played Leicester. You know, we've played some really, really good sides. And, you know, to only have 2 defeats in that, and to be, you know, at the time of Brighton being 3 points in front of Fulham, to now be 17 points clear of them by the end of the season, I just think, you know what, that's a fantastic turnaround. And you can't do nothing but praise him. And, you know, he deservedly got the manager of the month for April, you know, because he got those results. But, you know, I can't help at the back of my mind just remember the absolute dross and the frustration that we all felt. We all did. I remember, you know, you were on social media as I was around December, January, February time, where he was making bad decisions with his choices of team selection. He was, you know, getting it wrong with his formation. He was getting it wrong with his subs. And, you know, he wasn't doing anything right, and the fans were going mad. And we knew he needed the likes of Matt Ritchie and Sean Longstaff and even Matty Longstaff, and he was just refusing to play them. And it's just, you know, it just gets to a point where I can't help but think of all those frustrating things that he's done over the season that kind of override the good end of the season. But, you know, he does deserve a little bit of praise, but there's still a lot of work there to do in order for me to be convinced about Steve Bruce being manager of the club long term.
Yeah, he's certainly not a fan favourite. He's certainly not what the club needs, what the club may need in the future. But what he has done is maybe steadied the ship, hasn't he? He's kept it ticking over.
And ultimately, you're absolutely right, Dom. And ultimately, he'll argue that was what his remit was when he got given the manager's job nearly 2 years ago. He could argue that that's what his objective was to keep us ticking over, to keep us in the league season upon season. Obviously, we'd become accustomed to Rafa Benitez wanting to and telling us he wanted more for us, that he wanted us to be top half, that he wanted us to be challenging for Europe. So to go from that down to just being satisfied with staying in the league was not okay for us fans. And it might be okay for Steve Bruce, because that's ultimately, when he's been manager of a Premier League club, that's what he's been used to. But we don't want to just be that. We're a big enough club to want to at least be in the top half of the table and challenging. And that's where I think Steve Bruce has really sort of lost his way, because you would expect, and you and I and everybody else that supports this club would expect, that Steve Bruce, being a Geordie, Steve Bruce that talks about being on the terraces and watching the games as a kid, would know what the fans want. But he just doesn't seem to understand what the fans want. We want a team that are trying, that are being competitive, that are playing relatively attacking football. We're not asking for the world. We're not asking for world domination. We're just not. But he seems to keep putting it out there that that's what we are looking for, and we're looking for things that are unrealistic. And that's where it really surprises me that a Geordie, someone that knows the community, knows the city, was born and bred in it, doesn't quite understand it. It just doesn't get. It makes no sense to me. And they're the kind of things that I think, you know what, I've not got any time for you, Steve Bruce, because you don't seem to have the time for us.
Yeah, you look at his pre-match conferences, and he comes out and he's always bigging up the opposition. And it boils my blood. Why does he do that? I mean, is it to catch them off guard? What's he doing?
He's playing the percentages, is what I like to call it. He's playing the percentages, because what he's doing, he is talking up the team that he plays against, regardless of who they are. So we know that he's talked up the likes of Sheffield United, West Brom, Fulham, and other teams around us, the likes of Brightons and Burnleys, talked them up like they're world beaters. And the reason he does that is because if we do get beat, he's got an excuse. He's got an excuse. Oh, they're a good side. I did say it, blah, blah, blah. And he's got that to fall back on. But the other side of things is that a lot of these people within these clubs and that are associated with these clubs are his mates. And he's being nice for the sake of being nice, to keep friendships tight. So you look at the likes of Sam Allardyce at West Brom. You look at the likes of Scott Parker, who he talks about having a good relationship with. Wilder, before he got sacked at Sheffield United, he was waxing lyrical about him. Sean Dyche, more recently, before the Burnley away game, talking him up big time. And to be fair, Sean Dyche was talking him up big time as well. He's got all of his mates in the game, and they're all in and around him at the moment. And he tries to keep people on side, and by keeping people on side, that's why we're getting press conferences like that. It's a bit embarrassing, I've got to be honest. It doesn't help motivate the fans. I imagine it doesn't help motivate the players. I'd be surprised if the players even listen to his press conferences, but they are very boring and very much the same. But ultimately, that's because the press conferences are done over Zoom now. They're not done in the flesh. And I think if they were in the flesh, I think there'd be a lot more tougher questions being asked of Steve Bruce. But he's getting away with it at the moment.
Yeah, he's getting away with. Well, we've had the return of fans, but for the final home game of the season, which we had, 10,000 fans at the time.
Yeah.
But what I'm glad at, I mean, okay, I heard there was some boos, there was some directional things to Steve Bruce at the end of the game, but I was glad to hear that everyone cheered on the team itself, and it was good to hear actual real crowd noise in the ground as well, instead of all this crappy artificial.
Oh, the artificial is just getting it's getting so frustrated now that I was getting to the point where I was just watching it without, because it's obviously so fake and so delayed. It just actually ruins the experience of watching the football game, if I'm honest. So it was really, really nice to see fans actually in the stadium, and when it's not just the cheering, it's the chants, it's the songs of your club. The Newcastle songs against Sheffield United, they were singing them for 15, 20 minutes. It just reminds me when I'm in the away end and we're just chanting for 10, 20, 30 minutes, songs over and over again. It had that away day feel to it, even though it was a home game, because everyone was just enjoying the fact that everyone was together again. I mean, I'd have loved to have been there. I know you would have as well, Dom. It would have been fantastic to be in that stadium and feel the sort of the atmosphere of everybody. And for me, at times, it really gave our players an extra 10%. But I mean, there's no comparison to having a full stadium, 52,000, going mad, chanting, screaming, supporting the team. There was no better place for me in the Premier League than that. And hopefully the restrictions will be lifted so that come August we're all back in and we can all access it, because I think that's what we need now after a year or two.
Yeah, it would certainly boost not only the club and the players, it would boost people's morale as well. People in the Northeast, during lockdown and being furloughed, and people not having a lot to do, it has played on people's mental health as well. So I think also that might play a good part of being back to normal and being part of, going to see your mates, going to, pre-match drinks and then going to the match after them and then going out for your drinks after. And I just think it would help vastly.
Definitely. I mean, I can't wait to go back next season. At the earliest opportunity, I'll be definitely looking to get a ticket to get up there or to get up north and just soak in an away day. I mean, we're lucky enough that we've got around us. We've got quite a few Premier League away days that we can get to. So it'd be nice to be able to get to one of them and actually soak it in and enjoy the atmosphere again. Really, really looking forward to that, and it's what we need more so than anything. It's the economic side of things, the financial side of things as well. Getting everything back up and running again, the travel, the getting fans into the stadium, paying for confectionaries and all the rest of it. It's all part of the day, the enjoyable day. So really looking forward to that.
Yeah. Play the year or play the season. Who is it for you?
There's a couple out there, but for you could argue that Willock over less than half a season he's come in and really put a claim out there for Player of the Year. But for me, because of his goals, Callum Wilson, first season in black and white shirt. We've been crying out for a guy that not just talks about scoring goals, that actually backs it up. And you know what? Callum Wilson's backed it up this season. People will argue about, he scored a few penalties here and there. That's what strikers do. Strikers find any way to put the ball in the back of the net. But the key is actually putting the ball in the back of the net. And having that year of Joe Linton with all the hype that went round him, and unfortunately he wasn't the man to get the goals. We brought a guy in, £20 million. Luckily, in my opinion, because we were lucky that Bournemouth went down and he was injured for the back part of that season. So we benefited from their misfortune. And we've got a guy that knows where the goal is. He's 29 years old. You know, he's still got some life left in the game, certainly at the Premier League level. And providing he can stay fit, providing that his hamstrings are in good nick going into next season, I fully expect Callum Wilson to be pushing for 15 plus goals next season. I really do. I just think,
Yeah,
you know, he's got that motivation now. He wants to get back in the England squad. He wants to show people that he's a Premier League player, and that he can still do the business. He's been hampered with injuries. You know, he missed 10 weeks with his hamstring injury, and they were all games that he could have really scored goals in. You think West Brom, Villa, Wolves, Brighton. You know, I think there might have been one more that I'm missing out of that. But there were games in there he could have got goals from, and he missed a huge chunk of the season. And I think the full season under his belt, he could be absolutely flying.
yeah. We've also heard rumours about this fella here. Arsenal looking at him to sign. Between what was it, between 50 and 70 million, I think, was quoted. Now, could we sell St. Max to Arsenal and take on maybe a cash plus player deal with Willock?
You know what? Arsenal won't be the only team that are looking at him in the Premier League. There'll be a number of teams. I reckon that Tottenham will be looking at him. I reckon West Ham will be looking at him now they're back in Europe. I wouldn't be surprised if the likes of Chelsea are looking at him. Honestly, I think there'll be a lot of teams looking at him because he's just a guy that just really lights up the Premier League. You know, for a very defensive-minded team like ours, he doesn't half, you know, show his attacking flair, and he's a hot commodity. There's not many players that play football like he does. You know, the way he travels with the ball, his dribbling ability, his pace, his ability to strike a ball. He's just, you know, he's got creativity. He's got good vision. He's still young. He's only 24 years old. He's got so much left to achieve in the game. There's so many teams after him, but I honestly don't think he's going anywhere. I don't believe Arsenal will I don't believe Newcastle will sell him to Arsenal as any sort of makeshift for Joe Willock. I think if Newcastle want Joe Willock, they want Joe Willock and ASM playing in the same team. But I think equally, Joe Willock will move because ASM is staying at Newcastle, not to replace him, because those boys enjoy playing together. They've already showed it. When they're together, they are such a force. You throw Callum Wilson in there, you throw Miguel Almiron in there. Okay, you've got players there that can hurt teams, and if they regularly play with each other next season, you know, they could really, really cause some damage along with a couple of other additions. So I don't see him going to Arsenal. I don't see him going to anyone this summer. But yeah, you're looking at the benchmarks around the sort of the 50, 60 million mark. I talked on Matchday Live yesterday about Everton. Everton paid 100 million for two players, both 50 million, Richarlison and Sigurdsson. For me, ASM's better than both. And if they're going for 50 million from their respective clubs, Watford and Swansea, there is no doubt that that we can demand that fee and maybe a little bit more. So yeah, I fully expect him to stay. He's our talisman. He's just generally a good human being as well. He just seems like a good guy. You see that from his social media. Just seems like a genuinely nice guy. And you know what? There's not too many of them in football. So, you know, and we've definitely got one.
Yeah. Just a question there from Jody Talk. Do you get emotional seeing Joe Willock's thank you video on Instagram? Now, when I joined you earlier on, because you caught me with me Neil Mitchell's down, you know, but it was a video that I mean, he's got to put something like that out because he is an Arsenal player. At the end of the day, he is an Arsenal player. So he's kind of got to put that out because he's got to keep his options open to the fact if he went, well, I want to stay at Newcastle, that's closing the door on Arsenal. But then if he wants to play for Arsenal, of course he does. He's a young lad and he wants to play for a top club. Of course he does. But then he's got to say something to be, well, I'm at Arsenal, but whatever happens in the future will happen. But that's my thoughts on that video. What is yours?
Yeah, I mean, we talked about it earlier. I mean, there was a lot of like uproar and frustration or upset with what he put out in terms of the goodbye. But as you said, Dom, and you're absolutely right when you say it, is that the season's finished now. As soon as that 90 minutes, as soon as the final whistle went, he then becomes an Arsenal player again, and so naturally, with the type of guy that he is, he's going to want to say goodbye. You can see from every interview that he's done, he genuinely is happy at Newcastle. He has loved his time at Newcastle. He loves the fans. He's appreciated all the support because let's face it, he's never got that at Arsenal. He's never got that sort of love and affection and adulation for the efforts that he puts in on the pitch. But he gets that in Newcastle. Newcastle understand him, and I think he understands them. And he understands us as fans. And I don't believe that that's it. He said his goodbye because, as you've said, he's gone back to Arsenal. But I think there's a little bit left to run in this. There's been a lot of talk in the last couple of weeks that Newcastle are going to go back in for him. And they are going to put a bid in to try and get him, on a permanent deal. And I do believe that will still happen. But as I've talked before, there is a small matter of a Newcastle takeover that still needs to be resolved. And as soon as the season finished on Sunday, that then became the priority. So the priority now is securing the future of the club. And by securing the future of the club, that is by getting new owners in. And the PIF, Reuben Brothers, and PCP, they're the ones that need to secure this deal. We will know a little bit more by the time the boys get back into pre-season. So around July the 1st, the first 2-3 weeks of July, we will know where we stand. Okay, because at that point, we're going to need to start making some signings. We're going to need to start rebuilding. And I think we're going to have an idea about whether we're going into another season with Mike Ashley or whether this takeover is going to be done and signed off, ready for the new owners to come in and stamp their mark before the season starts. So I think either way, he comes to the club in some way, shape or form, or we certainly put the feelers out to try and get him. I think if Mike Ashley knows he's going into another season, committed to, Newcastle United, I think he then goes out of his way to make a statement and stick to his trying to get the words out. He has a certain of type of signing. They have to be young, ideally British, with some sell-on value. And he fits the bill 100%. And Mike Ashley's always said, if they fit the bill, doesn't matter how much they are, we'll pay the money. And I believe that he'll do it. If we get a takeover, I think the deal is a formality. I think it gets done straight away. And I think Joe Willett comes to us. Why wouldn't you if you're under new owners who have got bundles and bundles of money that are looking to make us one of the biggest clubs in the world? Why wouldn't you come to us? So I'm not getting too down about it yet because I think there's still a lot there to play for.
Yeah. Talking about the impending takeover, hopefully. We've got this video.
The league remains in dispute with Newcastle, who have since secured their survival to the Premier League next season. Your reaction to them staying up, and is there anything more you can tell us about how those talks, those legal disputes are going?
Well, they're in the Premier League, and they'll be pleased about that. But there's nothing I can say about the takeover or any talks.
Now, that was very telling, wasn't it? That was a telling video, because you could see how uncomfortable the fellow was, really. And coming on to takeover talks, and obviously we've got the cat and the arbitration going through at the moment. Listening to Keith Patterson from the NCSL, they haven't got a leg to stand on, really.
You know what? The more and more the information comes out, the more and more it drags the Premier League and Masters and Hoffman through the mud, because more and more is the more and more the information comes out, the more the finger pointing is aimed at those boys. And you go back to that video, Dom, and Richard Masters does not look happy. He really does not look happy. He doesn't look happy about the fact that he's been asked the question, because let's remember, Sky are their biggest supporters in the Premier League, and the fact that Sky have asked him that question outright, where it was, I think it was live at the time, so there was no way of him getting out of it. There was no way of it being edited. There was no way in which he could escape answering that question. And you just looked genuinely pissed off that he'd been asked that question. And, he kept it brief, but you can imagine after that Brian Swanson would have probably got a few words from Masters behind the scenes about being asked that sort of question. He looks under pressure. He looks under pressure because, as the weeks have gone on and the more and more information that come out, it's looking more and more obvious that the Premier League have done nothing but try and delay this deal for as long as they possibly could. And they've just tried to delay, because in their mind, they thought, and they still believe, that the longer that they delay, the sooner the PIF will say, you know what, I'm not doing this anymore. I'm going off and I'm going to buy another club. And that's exactly what they want. They want them committed in another league, in another part of Europe, with their money. They don't want that money in the Premier League. The Qataris don't want them in the Premier League, because the Premier League is the biggest league in the world, and ultimately, Qatari through BN Sports pay for the Premier League rights, so they will effectively be paying the PIF money for being in the Premier League every season. So their money from the Qataris are going into the pockets of the Saudi Arabians, and that's something that they are not comfortable with. So, look, we just have to be patient. And I know it's hard because we've been patient for nearly 14 years. We've got to be patient for a little bit longer. Okay, we need to see, fingers, toes, whatever you can, cross them. And because the arbitration is not going to take long. When it starts, it can take between 1 and 7 days for the case to be heard. We have to maybe wait a little bit longer for a verdict or for a decision or an award or whatever you want to call it. And then if we're lucky enough to say, right, we win, and they do the sort of owners and directors test and all that stuff again, that could take 2 to 3 weeks. So there is a period of waiting, but we need an answer more than anything. We need to know what direction this club's going in, because the club's been dying for a while now, and we're left literally in limbo for a long time, and we need to know what direction we're going in. And this is it now. It's make or break. This summer has to be the defining moment for this club. It really, really does.
Yeah. I mean, you look what the Premier League has taken away. It's not just the club. It's an area, an area that I put out a tweet the other night. You look at Newcastle, you look at Sunderland, you look at Middlesbrough. It's the Northeast as a whole. The Northeast gets probably the least amount of help from the government than anywhere else in the country. Now, you look at a takeover going through that was going to promise some sort of revitalisation, money into Newcastle itself as well, which could have benefited many people. Creating jobs and creating just to uplift the whole area as well, and that's what the takeover has taken away. And I think the Premier League have kind of, okay, this is about a football club, but it's not. It really isn't. That's not what it just is. Sorry, I was rambling there a bit.
No, that's fine. I missed that last bit because it crackled.
Yeah, I was just saying this isn't just about a football club. This is about an area and a heart of an area as well.
It's everything to us and the fans. It doesn't matter where we live or what the country we are. If you're a Newcastle fan, it's the heart of everything that you care about. And if you've ever been to the city, I've been lucky enough to go there many a times. It's one, it's an amazing place. Two, it's got amazing people there. I mean, I've said it, ever since I was a kid, and I've been going up to Newcastle to watch games. Is that Newcastle has got the nicest people in the country. The nicest, most friendliest people in the country live in Newcastle. Whenever I go there, I'm always treated well. I'm always treated with respect. People are kind. People are open. People want to talk to you. It's just how it used to be. The world's changed a lot over the years, but you go up north. The further north you get, the more real people you meet, and it's just a great place, but it's being left behind financially, the north, by London and your southern places. They tend to get all the finances. They tend to get all the money for redevelopments and all the rest of it. And that for me is where the PIF and the Reuben brothers and the PCP come in, because they're looking to redevelop the area. They're looking to kind of invest a lot of money into the city and the community, which will create houses, jobs, which will create new lives for people. Unemployment will naturally take a drop. Like, there are so many positives to this deal coming through, and none of that is regarding football. All of what I've mentioned has got nothing to do with football. The football thing is the one that we all want more than anything. But the way in which it will just change the city, you put that redevelopment into the city, you start, making new houses or building like entertainment things that are going to attract more people to the city. Okay, then you throw the football side in it. So you throw in the fact that we hopefully then become more competitive. Newcastle's going to be even more of a place where people want to come. Because let's face it, people love to come to Newcastle, particularly for a night out. They love it. And they love to be in and around the city. But you throw a successful, thriving football team into that mix, and you've got a very unique part of the country that everybody's going to want to go to, and that just creates the popularity around it. And it's just such a fantastic opportunity that nobody thought would happen. You look at, if you've ever been to the Etihad, if you've ever been to Man City and to watch Newcastle play, and if you've ever been to the surrounding area, so you can get a tram in to just outside the Academy Stadium, which is the Academy Stadium is just as good as any League One, League Two, some Championship stadium. It's that good. And then you look at some of the facilities that they've and the housing and the way they've redeveloped that land. That land was just wasteland before, and they've made it into a popular, thriving part of the city of Manchester. And it never was previously. They could do that on an even bigger scale in Newcastle. So the likes of Neil Mitchell and Steve Wraith and Steve Hasty, and when they talk about these things, they're not just talking about it for the sake of it. They're talking about it because it genuinely is something that could be a massive plus to this city for tens of years to come. not just in the short term, in the absolute long term, generations to come, it could completely revamp the way that people look at Newcastle as a city in this country.
Yeah, I thoroughly agree with you. Right, so we'll finish off with a mark out of 10 for the season so far. I mean, you were the very first person on my show, and that very good against West Ham, 3-1, wasn't it?
First game of the season?
Say again?
Do you mean the first game of the season?
Yeah, the first game of the season.
Yeah. 2-0 it was. Wilson and
And from there, I mean, we both sat there and we thought, yeah, we could do something here. We could actually have a good season. But then it all turned very sour the very next game, didn't it? So, you know, looking at the season as an overall, what mark out of 10 would you give the whole season as it is?
Oh, it's a good question. It's a good question in terms of mark out of 10. If I was being kind, I'd give it a 6, but I would probably say it would have to be a run-of-the-mill substandard 5. And the reason being is because, you know, yes, we had a good end to the season, but if we'd have stayed consistent throughout the season, I could have seen us being the top half of the table. Exactly what we wanted, exactly what Steve Bruce said he was looking for. I honestly believe we could have got top half. Looking at some of the results that we let slide against teams like Fulham at home, 1-1, Sheffield United away, Palace at home, Leeds at home. There are others, you know, you got Wolves at home that we probably should have won. You got Villa at home, we probably should have won. You got West Brom away, which we probably should have won. You know, you got those games. I've talked about 6, maybe 7 games there where we could have quite easily got 3 points. We get those results, we are bang up there. And I just think Bruce had decisions at a crucial point in the season, particularly with the quarterfinals of the Carabao Cup, which is unforgivable what he did for Brentford, the Brentford game. I just think, you know what, it could have been so much better. So a 5 for me for the season. What about you, Dom? What do you think? What would your assessment be?
I mean, look, for me, I think it's been another strange season. I mean, you look at the teams around us and maybe slightly above us. They've had inconsistent seasons as well, and I think if everyone was, you know, up to top marks and top notch, then I still think we still would have been fighting that relegation at the end of the season, if not already in it. But I would give it probably the same. I mean, a low 5 for me, to honest with you. But it's finished off quite nicely, and we're thankful for it.
You know what? It could have been a hell of a lot worse. And you know what? I think we all would agree that after the Brighton game, we all thought the worst. We all thought that we weren't coming back from it. So the fact that we've managed to finish the way we did in some of the wins that we got, you know, the West Ham win, the Leicester win in particular for me, were, you know, definitely win of the season. You can't not be happy with that. You know, finishing the season with back-to-back wins, yeah, you know, finishing in a half decent position.
Yeah. Well, thanks very much for dropping in, Guy. It's been a pleasure, and thank you to people who have watched my show. Also, thank God the season is over. We can all relax now.
Definitely, but Dom. Dom, it's been an absolute pleasure, mate. Honestly, thank you for allowing me to be on the show the first time, and a few times since then. Like I say, always a pleasure to come on and chat with you. You know, you've done some great work with your channel, and it's ever growing, and will continue to grow, no doubt about it. So keep doing what you're doing, mate, because it's good.
Yep. Thanks so much, mate, and catch you on another time.
We love you.
No problem, mate. Take care.
Thanks very much. Cheers, mate.
Cheers, bye.
Well, thanks for Pete for dropping in. I just want to finish off the season, to finish off the channel for this season. We will be back with a rebranding as well. So I just want to play a video that I was very graciously given, and I think I love it, and I hope everyone else loves it too. So I'm going to run it out for the end of the season. Auf Wiedersehen!
Au revoir.